Now, despite an oversupply of 15,000 skilled workers in the country, there is still a perception of a skills shortage, believe it or not. Not all those job seekers, though, who are looking for work can actually find what they're after, in their geographical region at least. Some, indeed, are just unwilling, meanwhile, to move for work. This is just one of the factors only exacerbating the two-speed nature of the labour market. Brooke Corty earlier checking in with Clarius CEO Kim Quick started by asking about how her company's latest survey has shed some fresh light on this area.
This quarter we saw another decline in demand for workers, skilled workers, which shows that there is a softening in the economy and the job market generally. However, that's offset by incredibly strong demand in regions like Western Australia and Queensland.
Given we talk about the war for talent, the skills shortage, how are we supposed to interpret your index, which reveals in fact a total oversupply of 15,000 skilled workers?
Look, basically what we've seen is in certain sectors like the IT, engineering and corporate services sector, there's been an increase in demand, therefore an undersupply. So the index in those ranges is certainly more severe. However, there has been a softening in other sectors, particularly in what appears to be the administration and support sector, which suggests that employers where they can postpone hiring decisions and make do with the resources that they have, that's the approach that they are taking, as opposed to employing people on a permanent basis.
And Kim, how about the sectors that are suffering the biggest undersupply?
Our biggest undersupply is largely, as I mentioned, in the engineering and IT sector, and that's largely driven by demand, and certainly the states that are the strongest in demand for those sectors is Western Australia and Queensland. We're obviously seeing in Western Australia a shortage across the board in most sectors, and this is putting a lot of pressure on wages and obviously a lot of pressure on companies who are in expansion mode.
Kim, there's a lot of political posturing going on over the 1,700 workers being imported for Gina Rinehart's Roy Hill mine under the Enterprise Migration Agreement. We will let the politicians do their thing, but for a view outside of the political sphere, tell us whether you think these kinds of enterprise agreements are really necessary to get these big resource projects off the ground.
Look, certainly getting the workers mobilised into those regions is critical. Look, I guess it's a bit counterintuitive in that you have the southern states that are seeing mass redundancies and retrenchments, and a lot of people in a situation where they are looking for employment. How quickly the government can mobilise those people to get to Western Australia to fulfil some of these needs, I guess, hasn't been explored, and that would suggest that potentially going offshore is, it's an interesting decision and maybe a little bit premature, given that the skills are actually here in the country.
What about those workers, though, in the southern and eastern states? Do you get a sense that they want to or don't want to relocate, even if it means actually getting a good and, a pretty well-paid job?
Without a doubt, and that's a challenge, I think, for employers in Western Australia is, there's a massive number of people moving to the western part of the country on a weekly basis. So, how quickly that can be escalated to meet the demand, I guess, is yet to be seen. But there's no question in most people's minds, I guess, that if you've just lost your job in Sydney or Melbourne, moving to Western Australia is a big decision, and I imagine that's what's causing a lot of anxiety with employers over there who do feel that they need to go offshore to get those skills quickly.
So it sounds like it comes down to really the government doing more to promote employment mobility in the end. Definitely. Look, certainly if more was being done, domestically to move these workers to where the demand is, then that would solve a lot of issues, both for the employers from the perspective of they will have the resources to fulfil their requirements, and from an employment point of view where there will be a better state of employment in the country.